Happy to see you once again. I am Vijayalakshmi from English department. Today we are going to see about the voice. We are going to continue. Just we are going to recall the rules what we have studied. So the first rule, if we take this active voice into passive voice, the first rule, the object of the active voice is coming in the place of a subject in passive voice. That's what given in the first rule. So the object of the active voice becomes the subject of the passive voice. So the object, you know very well, at the end of that sentence we will be using some nouns. That nouns is going to take the role of subject in passive voice. Okay. Then second one, what we have to do while we are changing this active voice into passive voice, we have to introduce the preposition before that object in passive voice. So before the object of that passive voice, we have to introduce this the preposition by. Okay. So the preposition by to be introduced in passive voice. So where we have to introduce that by? Before that object. Okay, in passive voice, before that object we have to introduce this preposition by. Then third rule, always in passive voice we have to use this third form of the verb. Okay, in passive voice we have to use the third form of the verb always. So V3 is nothing but the participle of the verb is called as V3. So the third form of the verb. So V3 is used in passive voice. Then at last, if the active voice is given in imperative sentence, for example, shut the door. Okay. So shut the door is given in imperative sentence. So if that active voice is given in imperative sentence, first we have to use this let. Okay, first we have to use the verb let. Then after that we have to use the subject. Then we have to introduce the primary auxiliary be. The be is followed by the third form of the verb. So these are the rules already we have said. Okay. So next we are going to see about the transformation of sentences that I am going to explain now. Now we can see how this active voice can be changed into passive voice. So here I have taken the assertive sentences alone. First we can see how these assertive sentences can be changed into passive voice. Okay. So here I have given the first example as people always admire this picture. People always admire this picture. If you take this example, here people is the subject, admire is the verb, then this picture is the object. Okay. So as per our rule, while we are changing this into passive voice, we have to bring this object in the place of subject. So what is the object here in active voice? This picture. So what did we do here? We brought this picture in the place of subject. Okay. So this picture we have written here. Then what about the verb here in active voice? The verb admire is given in present form. The verb admire is given in present form. So you know very well, if the verb is given in present form, we have to introduce the primary auxiliary, that too the be form of the verb, either am or is or are. So here what about the subject? This picture. So the picture is given in singular. We are using the be form of the verb is here. Okay. Then after this is to mention that this is the present form, we have used this always. The always we have written the. Then V3 of this admire is admired. So as per the rule, we have to use the third form of the verb only in passive voice. That's why we have used the third form of the verb admire. Okay, third form of the verb admire is admired. Then we have to introduce the preposition by. So the preposition by is used here. So as I stated before this object, we have used the preposition by here. At last, we brought that subject of that active voice in the place of object in the passive voice. So as I stated, the subject of this active voice used in the place of passive voice. So as I stated, the subject of this active voice to be placed in the place of object in passive voice. So what is the subject here? People is the subject. That's why we brought that people in the place of object in passive voice. Okay. Now we are going to see about the second sentence. Hari gave me a pen. So here Hari is the subject, gave is the verb, me a pen. Both are object. So here in this example, two objects are given. So here me is indirect object, a pen is direct object. How can we find out which is indirect object, which is direct object? So just what did Hari give to you? He gave a pen. So which words are giving the answer for the question? What? So a pen. Okay. So that a pen is the direct object. Then whom did he give that pen? To me. Whom did he give that pen? He gave that pen to me. So the word me is giving the answer for the question whom. Okay. That's why we are mentioning this me as indirect object. Then one more clue I'll be giving here. So just if you remove this word me, the remaining words are giving the meaning, complete meaning. So he gave a pen. It is giving the meaning. Okay. So that is one clue how to find out this direct object. Okay. Okay. Now I'll be removing this object. So he gave me. Is it giving the complete meaning? No. It's not giving the complete meaning. But this is also one object, isn't it? So, but here it's not. If we remove this one more object here, the remaining words are not giving the complete meaning. What did he give it to you? What did he give to you? Yeah, it's not given the answer we are not getting. That's why we are mentioning this me as indirect object. Okay. So, in active voice, if two objects are given, how can we change that into passive voice? Okay. So, as usual, we are going to bring the object. Okay. Here, we have to take this direct object, a pen. We have to consider that a pen, direct object, as a subject in passive voice. Okay, so the direct object only we have to bring in the place of subject in passive voice. Then as usual, we have to change the form of the verb. Here the verb is given in past form. So if the verb is given in past tense, while we are changing it into passive voice, we have to introduce the be form of the verb, either was or were. So here the subject is singular. That's why we are introducing the be form of the verb was. Okay. So was. Then third form of the verb give is given. Then what about this one more object? So indirect object we have, isn't it? That indirect object also we have to mention here. So before that I have used yes by Hari. Then that indirect object also we have to use here. So before mentioning that indirect object, I have used the preposition to. Okay, so once again I'll be mentioning that object of that active voice I brought in the place of subject. Then I have introduced the be form of the verb was here because in active voice the verb is given in past tense. Then V3 of give is given that I have introduced here. Then as per our role, while we are changing this active voice into passive voice, we have to introduce the preposition by that we have introduced here. Then we are bringing the subject Hari in the place of object here. Then what about this to me? Me is the indirect object which is given in active voice. So while we are mentioning that indirect object in passive voice, before that we have to introduce the preposition to. Okay? Yes. So that's why we have written as a pen was given by Hari to me. Okay? Then last example, we like you. Okay? Here what about the verb? Again we have used the verb in the present form. So what about this you? Object. Okay? So that object we brought in the place of subject here in passive voice. So you. Then what about this verb here? It is given in present form. So as I stated, the verb is given in present form. We have to introduce the be form of the verbs, either am or is or are. Here you is given. So this is the second person. So we are using the verb as are. Okay, the primary auxiliary. That will be form of the verb. We are using are here. Then what about the third form of the verb like? Liked. Okay, so that liked we have used here. Then as usual, the preposition by is introduced here. Then what about the subject here? We. As per our rule, we have to change the pronoun. So this we is changed into as. So this we is changed into as. Okay, so here we have to use this as. So remaining sentences we'll be saying in the next classes. Thank you.